Good day, this is Jay Gaskill, the Outlawyer. You can visit me and my writings on the Policy Think Tank. Today's comment, Friday the 24th of October, concerns Ellen Greenspan, and the title of the piece is Dancing with Bears. Today's headline suggests that former Fed head Ellen Greenspan has abandoned all his free market principles, shouldered all of the blame for the mortgage crisis, and has humbly signed on to the Obama campaign as the resident bad example, presumably to be paraded before select audiences wearing a dunce cap. How quickly the politicians discard their former heroes when expediency trumps fidelity. As a young graduate student in New York, Greenspan belonged to a group that was in the thrall of author-philosopher Ayn Rand, otherwise known as Alicia Rosenbaum, who was a refugee from communist Russia, where the Soviets had essentially destroyed her parents' business. Ms. Rand was a fiercely anti-communist atheist who defended the ethic of rational self-interest against cultural and political forces that required a sacrificial ethos, derided profit, and sapped achievement. She had no formal economic training. She loved America. Later in life, Mr. Greenspan was asked if he was still a follower of Ayn Rand's philosophy, objectivism, and he said that he was an agnostic where Ms. Rand was concerned. Yesterday, under blistering examination in Congress, Mr. Greenspan was asked whether he had given up his libertarian market principles, and he said partially. Then he attempted the kind of nuanced answer that Congress, the President, and the media had accepted without question when he was at the top of his game. Not this time. Nor did anyone listen carefully. Ayn Rand despised libertarians, not so much because they believed in the free market capitalism, but because they lacked core moral values. In Ayn Rand's ideal world, her economic heroes were productive, hard-working men and women of great personal honor and integrity, and they were not shielded from the consequences of failure by complex credit instruments. In a scene in one of her novels, an old-fashioned banker, and when Rand uses the term old-fashioned, it is intended to be a compliment, makes a loan to one of her heroes with no collateral other than the man's character. No, this old-fashioned banker would not float paper, thus securitizing the loan and transferring the risk, that is, the responsibility, to others. Accountability for failure wonderfully concentrates the mind. When governments or networks of financial institutions acting like a government mess with the natural risk consequence mechanisms that attend ordinary free transactions, they rob the market at large of its internal corrective checks and balances. No regulatory scheme is perfect, and no regulatory body can be more effective than a system that requires full accountability and transparency. Markets that eliminate the consequences of failure or transfer those consequences to innocent third parties or try to dilute them no longer function as rational and impartial pricing mechanism. Put differently, such markets can no longer be trusted. Mr. Greenspan's problem, shared by almost everyone in the Beltway bubble, was not a failed economic theory, but failed real-world practice. Compared to Ms. Rand's old-fashioned virtues, Wall Street and postmodern banking operate in a morally bankrupt culture. Fiscal bankruptcy followed, and that consequence was as inevitable as hypothermia and death following a naked frolic with polar bears in their natural habitat. Without accountability for failure, there ain't just no such thing as a free market. This is Jay Gaskill talking common sense from Northern California. Thank you for listening.